Hello class, my name is Renee Kuhn, and the sport that I decided to further research common injuries on is softball. The reason I chose this sport is because I played for 15 years and have a love for the game. One of the most common injuries among softball players is the subacromial impingement syndrome. This is when tendons of the rotator cuff and the subacromial bursa are pinched in the narrow space beneath the acromion and become irritated and inflamed. The most common mechanism for a subacromial impingement syndrome injury is an excessive overhead use of the arm and shoulder. Some of the anatomy functions that are included in the subacromial impingement syndrome are the subscapularis, the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, the teres major, the subacromial bursa, acromion, and humerus. In order to identify if you have subacromial impingement syndrome, there are a few ways that we can identify this. One way is going through an MRI. Another way is identifying the range of motion. And another way is electromyography. Another common injury that happens among softball players is an anterior cruciate ligament tear. This is also known as an ACL tear. An anterior cruciate ligament is comprised of three twisted bands: the anteromedial, the intermediate, and the posterolateral bands. An anterior cruciate ligament tear is when these ligaments are overstretched and are become torn. Some reasons that you can experience an anterior cruciate ligament tear in softball is because of changing direction immediately. This can happen when a player is running around the bases and say they get caught in a pickle and immediately need to change direction and go back to the base. Or this can also happen just from batting, and when you hit the ball and you immediately change your body direction to run towards first base. Or this can just happen when you take off from the base immediately. Or when you're trying to catch a ball and you make instant direction towards the ball. These are all some of the ways that you can experience an anterior cruciate ligament tear through changing direction immediately. Some other ways are through hard impact, internal knee rotation, landing from a jump, and overextending your knee. What is involved in an ACL tear is the anterior cruciate ligament itself. Some ways to assess if you have torn your anterior cruciate ligament is to do a Lachman test. This test is one that can be done out in the field. The next thing that you would want to be done after the Lachman test is to have a magnetic resonance imaging. This is known as an MRI. The last common injury in softball that I have decided to further research is an anterior talofibular ligament tear, also known as an ATFL tear. The anterior talofibular ligament connects the talus to the fibula. The tear of the ligament occurs when an ankle experiences an inversion twist. Most often, when you experience an anterior talofibular ligament tear, you will also experience a calcaneal fibular ligament tear. Some mechanisms of an anterior talofibular ligament tear are incorrect landing, hard impact, rolling the ankle inward, plantar flexion, and inversion. Most often, a softball player will experience an anterior talofibular ligament tear when they are sliding into a base. The anatomy of the body that is included in an anterior talofibular ligament tear is the anterior talofibular ligament itself, the talus, and the fibula. Some assessments to see if you have an anterior talofibular ligament tear is you will have most likely instant swelling, discoloration of the skin, an anterior drawer test can be taken place, a Teller hilt test, and radiographics.